Well, we have made the excuse that Baylor lost because they were on the road against BYU, and that doesn't really apply today. This is Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday, everybody. Drake Toll alongside Cameron Stewart here with Inside the Bears. Thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. Cam, after BYU, it was fine and dandy because it was a road game. 65,000 screaming fans. This game had about half that, and majority of them were not screaming, by the way, but they were Baylor fans. No atmosphere to blame for this one. Blake Shapen throws 345 yards, and Baylor loses to Baylor lost to a better football team. Oklahoma State was just a better football team than Baylor, and that showed on Saturday.
I agree with you. Definitely. No qualms about it. Oklahoma State played a better game. No one got screwed here. Nothing like that. How about this for a little wordplay for you, Drake? Can we use we can't use the atmosphere excuse.
Yeah.
So there's no atmosphere excuse to be used. Or is the excuse that there was no atmosphere?
Cam, I'm going to be honest with you. As much as you say that as a joke,
you're angry about it. You're fired up about it.
Dave said something in the post-game press conference where he talked about him and Dylan Doyle both talked about the energy. Our team needed more energy in the first half. Our team had more energy in the second half and wanted to build off of something. He didn't say it. I don't even think he was alluding to the crowd either. But when there's not, like when you're in a home atmosphere looking for your fans to help boost the team, you walk into any other. You go to Kansas State. You go to Iowa State last week. BYU, we've already seen this. These fan bases pump energy into these teams. Who was the guy in the safari hat that was like, I'm looking for bears, not black bears?
That is the weirdest thing I've seen at a Baylor football game. The cab thing was weird. Maybe it's in its own category in 2016. But the safari thing, that guy was in the press box, by the way. In the press box the whole time, other than those 5 minutes. And he was wearing that exact outfit, obviously, that we see in the promo. And I'm like, that dude was just here. And like, what the hell is going on? I think that comes in like the beginning of the fourth quarter, maybe in the third quarter. So they were just like making their comeback. They were on defense. I remember like we kind of needed some energy there for sure. And all of a sudden it's like this 4-minute thing of a guy describing, I'm looking for bears, but they sick them and all this shit. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is happening here? It was surreal. It was like a fever dream. I'm like, what is going on? Because we built up this game to be like one of those once-a-year type of atmospheres.
Right.
What built up for the BYU game was how it felt here. And I was like, man, we are going to have a great atmosphere here, sell out, all this. And look, there is something to be said for how poorly the team played in the first half.
Yes.
I'll give a little bit of leeway there.
3 points. 3 points.
Yeah. On the first drive, that should have been 7 points.
Yes.
And I think that would have really gotten the crowd going. But that said, how much of a dud was that first half, the BYU game? Their fans were in it the whole time. So there's little excuse there. It was disappointing. It was disappointing. And I know they got into it in the third quarter because we kind of made a comeback, but
the ones that stayed.
Yeah, and it was always kind of leveled out too, even the ones that didn't stay, because I think Baylor scores to make it 23-17 or something along those lines. They get it to a one-score game, and then Oklahoma State takes the next kickoff to midfield, and it's like, here we go again. Here we go, and they went down and scored a touchdown. So there was no like sustained momentum. From the energy. And it was too bad because I thought it was going to be a great, great atmosphere.
Yeah. Which
Baylor is capable of.
For sure. We've seen 230 games. Yeah, I think UT last year was we had there are a couple
of 11.
Games 230. Was that an 11? There have been some 11s that have had good atmospheres. I don't know why it wasn't that way on Saturday. It's not which was again funky because we've seen not even random. The 11 a.m. UT game last year was a solid atmosphere. We've seen Baylor put those together. I was confused. Maybe it's the gold out. Was the Baylor fans just don't like gold? I don't know what the cause was because it doesn't make a lot of sense. If those games were big atmospheres, why wasn't this one? The line was a lot smaller too. The in-game promotions, there was the point in time where the basketball team standing 10 yards away from the football team. Maybe there's nothing you can do about that, but Shane Beamer would be screaming them off the field.
That was defensively with the ball, like goal to go situation because they were right there in the end zone.
Right. And they were like,
it was so awkward.
We're going to honor some guys.
I hope we made a ton of money off those in-game promotions. I really do because
they're endless. They're endless.
It was just so every time you needed something.
Yeah.
Every time you needed something, some song to get the fans going, showing some legend on the screen, anything. It was TFNB, Your Bank for Life, Volunteers of the Game, and We're Searching for Bears, and you picked Springsteen by Eric Church, but you probably didn't because Eric Church so happens to be in the stands. A song I love, by the way, but come on, man. We need a little something. One of the other options was Viva La Vida. It's like they didn't want any kind of atmosphere coming to that.
Right. Viva La Vida, that'll get them going.
Can we just jump around?
Watch these college kids go nuts when we play Viva La Vida. Yes.
That song sucked for someone my age, and I actually remember the song.
We worked China Spring Games on Friday night. They play the same damn song 9 times, but it gets the people going. It gets them going when they play, or the band. Oh, my God. Baylor has a band. Let the band play. Do something that look. The big one for me that I think is like Baylor gets an interception and the whole crowd, like you're finally starting to feel some life, and then it's all right, fans. Let's see where those fries are. Look, I get it. We're in a 9-inning Rangers baseball game. 98 games into the season. Sure, I want to know where the fries are too. But at McLean Stadium in the third quarter after an interception, I don't care where the Whataburger fries are. I just want to hear music. Let the kids yell. And you just don't have that.
Yeah, and I say they're capable of it. Baylor's capable of having a great crowd. It is not going to be Death Valley every week. It's probably never going to be that, right?
It's okay.
It's not.
And that's okay.
But when you come into the season as a top 10 team and a team that, has the chance to win the Big 12 title again, and you have got a top 10 team coming into town, big revenge game, 2:30, so you don't have that 11 a.m. excuse. I'm sorry. I just expect a better atmosphere than that. I do. And you talked about it earlier. I almost asked the question in the press conference, but kind of puts them in a tight spot, either the players or Aranda, to be like, did you guys want more out of that? Did you guys expect more out of that? Because I don't think it's unfair for a team to be like, we really could have used the energy.
Lane Kiffin said it last week.
Everyone thrives on it. You know what I mean?
Lane Kiffin said that his crowds at Ole Miss are not that great. And for the people out there, look, I didn't want to open this episode and just crap all over the fan experience, the crowd, or any of that. And I still believe Baylor's a great place to play a football game. But this is something that I am passionate about because there are Oklahoma State fans that go back to Stillwater and their buddies say, hey, man, what was it like in Waco? And they go, that crowd sucked. The stadium was only 2/3 full. Half the people left at halftime. And the guy's like, oh, well, I mean, it was hot, right? The guy's like, it was 88, 103 last week. We played here in Stillwater. That place is packed out. It's embarrassing when these Oklahoma State fans go home and that's their rhetoric, as it should be. Dave Aranda, first question he's asked after BYU. Dave, how did your guys handle the crowd with a couple of false starts there at the goal line late? Mike Gundy didn't get asked once about the crowd because why would he? And that is a problem. It just is.
And hey, don't do it just for them. Don't do it for us. Don't do it even if you don't want to do it for the players on the field. But Drake, you know who's in attendance this weekend?
Eric Church.
Other than Eric Church, who doesn't need to know about our atmosphere.
Shapen Joanna Gaines.
The best quarterback recruit in Baylor history was at the game.
Don't say it. No, he wasn't.
Look. There's still time. There is always time until these kids, and that's an overgeneralization. Any of these kids, until they step foot on that campus, you don't have them. And they'll go to Kyle Field at some point this year. Say what you want. I think it's a cult too, but they'll have 100,000 people there.
Yeah. No matter who they're playing or how bad they are, they will have 100,000 people. Yeah. And Austin Novosad's sitting front row with his family. and it's the third quarter, looking around like, where is everyone? Is this what I'm playing in front of on Saturdays in a top 10 matchup? If I am a quarterback recruit and I just got back from Kyle Field or South Bend, Indiana, or Columbus, Ohio.
And look, it's a long shot too, but DJ Willis was in DJ Lagway from Willis was in Death Valley last weekend.
DJ Lagway is going to come to Baylor in 2 weeks against Kansas on homecoming. Be like, damn, that guy in the safari hat.
Which will also be a
cool
top 10 team coming in. So
God bless. I've sworn twice now. I did not come here to swear. I shaved.
Oh yeah, we're not supposed
this is
to.
The old me. I'm trying to compensate for the lack of my youth. Now
we are the 1% of Baylor.
I had to shave after the game. There's bad mojo going on with the football team. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to looking 12 and getting carded at bars again. I don't go to bars, by the way. I'm a Baptist.
Of course you don't.
Turn this podcast off.
Why would you need to?
Speaking
if you're
of,
watching on YouTube, you'll already know.
You'll have to turn this podcast off unless I tell you about LinkedIn Job Talent Solutions. Cam, there's a job opening out there.
Oh, yeah.
I think you know what it is, too. There's a couple of them, but I think you know
what it is. Yeah, it's a couple of them. Yeah. Oh.
The Wisconsin Badgers, Madison, Wisconsin. If you go to LinkedIn Talent Solutions, you can apply today to be the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. So if you're the staff at Wisconsin, I know players have already come out and said if you wanted Paul Chryst gone, you are not a member of this program. They're upset that their coach got fired, by the way, which is just dumpster fire. Everything. This is just bad. What you should do, Wisconsin, LinkedIn Talent Solution. That's where employers find employees faster. You just a bunch of questions out there where you can funnel guys through and learn about candidates in an efficient and easy way. LinkedIn Talent Solutions, rated #1 by small businesses and Wisconsin, apparently. Millions have used it as well. Go check it out. Purple hashtag hiring frame. Use locked on LinkedIn.com/locked on. Terms and conditions do apply. Cam, the whole first segment I wanted to talk about the offense, and the second segment the defense, but now we just have to do both, I guess. Now the offense,
into that.
Travis Roeder said I did. Travis Roeder said it, and I agree. Blake Shapen was really sharp on Saturday, 345 yards. I thought Shapen looked like a big man. He also had some beautiful strikes, a couple to Monterey Baldwin, including one on fourth down, and
yeah, you think? Let's not blow past that one.
And a couple of really good strikes to Gavin Holmes, who for a second said, I'm good. I'd rather not catch these.
That first one, man, I think it's Roeder's video on it. It's like this Mahomes throw. He puts the arm angle. Holmes is wide open in the middle of the field. And I turned to you like right before halftime. Oklahoma State was about to score to make it 16-3.5. And I was like, other than the obvious of 4 more points on the board, how much did that Gavin Holmes change this thing? Like if he catches that and they score on the first drive. Because I think it changes a lot in terms of not just the atmosphere, but the confidence and like what we're doing is working. And I agree with you. Blake had a good game. I mean, 2 picks. One of them should be a catch by his receiver and has no fault to him, really. And the other one, he
garbage
just
time.
Throws it a hair. Yeah. And he's trying to do maybe a little too much, which is not great, but still, I thought he was borderline excellent, to be honest with you. And that 4th and 5 to Monterey. First off, the first deep ball touchdown is perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
The Monterey strike. Wow.
Yeah. And then the second one hits him in stride, and Monterey Baldwin is like the fastest guy ever to step on a field. Like 2 guys have an angle on him, but Shapen leads him perfectly, which I know is something you have been critical of this year, and rightfully so. Not throwing his receivers open, threw him open there. Perfect. And again, it was the game plan that we expected offensively. It was the same thing as the Iowa State game. Same thing. And it worked like a charm. And now that you have Baldwin back 100%, I think that's really going to help them this year. But the thing with this game is it's not even like one play you point to. It wasn't penalties either. They just
my gosh!
Well,
if you're gonna point to one play, granted you could, I would allow you like a top 5. Obviously the passes are there, and the going for it on 4th down, you're on 32 in the middle of the third quarter. You're already surrender cobering. You're like, the game's getting out of hand. Dave said it in the press conference. Like, yeah, part of that was a time thing. What the? There are 20 minutes left in the game.
That means I don't know what my defense is going to do at this
20 minutes left in the game.
Which sucks.
If I'm going to circle one play where you go, facepalm, oh my gosh, this team doesn't deserve to win, We're at the 2-yard line, your own 2-yard line. Let's pitch the ball as far backwards as we can into our own end zone and send out Drake Dabney to block. I like Drake Dabney. Guy's great at catching the football. But in that scenario, why are you even asking him to be the lead blocker on a pitch play in your own end zone? You deserve a safety.
Yeah, no, they did. And they got it.
Oh, they did.
Golly.
God.
And Dave gives, I would say, a good explanation. Like, he told us his reasoning. I still, I don't know the X's and O's of this game too much, but I don't think it's good enough to run a toss in your own end zone with a freshman running, or actually I think it was Quaylen Jones, but still, like, what are you doing, man? And he basically said, they line up like this. Typically our strong suit's on this side. And basically it worked the week before. Worked a couple of times. So I thought, let's try it. That's fantastic. The deep ball was working earlier in the game. You don't try it from your own end zone. There's a reason we don't do these things. I just saw it in the Patriots-Packers game. Patriots, they're being criticized for not going up for it 4th and 5 from like the Green Bay 45-yard line in overtime. And all these metrics say how conservative a play call it was. Well, yeah. Well, on the other side is Aaron Rodgers, and on your side is a kid named Bailey Zappi at quarterback. So sometimes you need to take these things into account, okay? And that was one of those times where it's like, yeah, the crack toss works a lot, but we are at our own 2-yard line. Let's maybe just get it out first. Let's maybe get out to like the 10, maybe something like that. And then they try bouncing one of the outside on the 4th and 2, which is kind of forgotten about because that's in the first half. But that's a drive that Baylor is going to score points, and they don't. And all of a sudden, it's 9-3. And then the next time they take a real meaningful snap, it's 23-3. Yeah. And that's a huge difference in the game. And that's the thing when I mean, it's like, you don't point to just like, oh man, too many penalties, which you could say with BYU, or man, it was this one play, but there was just bad execution, man. Bad execution on that toss play, bad call, bad execution by the running back, which was Reese, I believe, on the 4th and 2. He needs to cut it upfield and he doesn't. And that's situational awareness. And so and special teams is all about execution, right? And they sucked on special teams. That's the one thing you can point to. Baylor was not really good in pretty much everything, but the one thing they were bad was special teams. And defending the run was the worst it's been all year.
Is it safe to say Baylor deserved to lose this game?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
They were not the best team.
You deserve to lose this game because, number one, Oklahoma State's better. Number two, no penalties for Baylor. You're right. And Blake Shapen plays well. We keep asking for Blake Shapen to play well, and then now he's doing it. And the offensive line said, we're going to take this. We're good. We're going to sit this one out. We can. There are even plays where Connor Galvin's getting beat. Like, beat. Is Oklahoma State's defense, maybe their front's just that good. The Baylor's O-line, I have been so complimentary of this year. And they said, we're good this week. It's okay.
The front is good. I will give them that. Oklahoma State. Oliver and Lacey, they're pretty good. And,
also,
Brock Martin.
Before we hear from Dave Aranda, had you told me Spencer Sanders only had 181 yards of passing, I'd have been like, oh, crap. Baylor won by 17, which I thought Baylor would win by a touchdown or more. 181 yards passing because he just ran the crap out of the ball, and Baylor has now been burnt twice by a wide receiver throwing a dying duck of a pass. Twice this season. If you're an opposing team, if you're West Virginia, start getting your wide receivers ready to go. Get the arms warm. Because it is automatic against Baylor. You
know who he was like, Spencer, on Saturday?
Johnny Manziel.
Gary Bohannon.
Don't go there.
Completes 70% of his passes. Throws for the sub 200. Runs for another 75. Throws a touchdown pass in there. Throws a pick. That's Gary Bohannon.
And that's the truth.
Gary Bohannon. With a couple different backs in there. No one stands out. No one absolutely guts you, but they're getting 4 yards of carry every time.
Yeah. Blake didn't run it very much. And when he did,
he never threaded the needle. Yeah.
I love it. And again, not a comparison game, but yes, Sanders was much better than Blake Shapen, and Blake Shapen was really good. Sanders was just like level-headed, very command the game. And maybe his numbers aren't as good, but he was still better than Blake Shapen in that command the game, get the win. Shapen 2 weeks ago, it was like slide. Now he's taking the slide thing way too extreme. He's like 10 yards away from a defender.
How many times?
Not close to the first down, and he's like, I've been working on it, Coach. Look at me. I can slide now. You're 3 yards short of the first down marker. The clock's ticking down. Congrats. You're safe.
Oh, man. And it just all ends with, not that they really had a chance, but Ben Sims catches it with 10 seconds left, clear path to go out of bounds. It just keeps running. I'm like, yep, that's this game, baby. That's today. I said, dude, it was like 2018, 2016 flashbacks. I'm like, they're going to come back in this game. But the other team is going to, in this case, Oklahoma State, is going to do enough. They're going to convert some third and longs. They're going to score just enough that Baylor's not going to quite get back there. And they didn't. 22 points, though, scored in the third quarter. How about that? Yeah. 2 scoreless quarters. But anyway, back to the drawing board and a lot of time to let this one fester, Jay.
Yeah, plenty of time for us to talk about it. Speaking of talking about it, Dave Aranda did just that. Coach, take it away.
It's good to see you guys. A lot of credit to Oklahoma State. You know, I thought that they started fast. I thought that all 3 sides of it for them played really confident and fast. I thought, you know, I'm proud of our team for the second half that we had and the ability to start that third quarter with some emotion and some energy, which frankly was missing in the first and second quarter. And you know, I thought there in the third and fourth, there wasn't really a point in time to where, you know, there was someone kind of hiding out or someone kind of looking for a break or any of that. I thought there was fight all the way. So way proud of that. I thought, you know, there's a lot to be learned from there. But, you know, there's a lot to be learned from the first half. It's disappointing the way that we started. And, you know, I think there was a time, we had staff meet earlier this morning, and part of the talk was, you know, I feel almost like a really strong confidence, and we're going to find out whether it's grounded or not, right? Is this confidence grounded in reality, grounded in kind of work put in and all of it? Because the last time you kind of felt this was a couple weeks ago, and we had a similar result. And so I think, you know, for us as a staff, and for me particularly, kind of working through some of that and reading the signs of kind of where the youth of the team is and how they are reading kind of, hey, this game means this, and all the outside things that really we have to kind of limit, I think is really going to be a key for the rest of the season. And it's a big lesson for me. But with that, I'll take any questions you guys got.
Yeah, Dave, on Monday you mentioned their speed. They really flashed it in a lot of places today. What was it like just trying to deal with just the speed they have in so many different spots?
Yeah, I thought particularly special teams, you know, we were outplayed in that area, and it was disappointing to see. And you know, you look at it from our side, just all the improvement that has to take place there to get us to where we are a viable outfit. And so, you know, a lot of good learning that's got to go on. I think it'll be good with some of the time we have to get some of the emotions with some of the players and the staff out of it, so we can address kind of just the reality of it. But I thought that you know, it's Oklahoma State's a fast team. They're a good team, and you know, we are too. And so I think our ability to kind of take the lessons learned and apply them and not weaponize them is really going to be key.
Dave, you go for it a few times on fourth down, deep in your own territory there in the second half. Was that just a matter of that's what the numbers told you to do, or did you have this feeling that you were going to have to kind of start chasing the game?
Yeah, I think it was both. I think you know, the numbers were saying that, but then I think the feeling was that you know, it also becomes you're racing against the clock, and I think that's when those real aggressive fourth, what was it, balls on the 30 or whatever it is, that's when those kind of come into play, is when the clock's an issue and possessions are dwindling.
Dave, Oklahoma State had the punt where they pin job deep, and then they got the safety. easy for fans, easy for us when a play goes wrong to go, what are they thinking?
Mm-hmm.
What did y'all see that made you think a pitch was a good idea in the end zone?
Yeah, I think that was what Oklahoma State was doing versus that wing set. They were playing with two basically defensive ends, and so that was somewhat of a particular new set that they've been playing just versus us. And so that really kind of showed itself on that particular play. And so credit goes to them. I think we've got two tight ends at the point of attack, and you wish that all of that would have been better. But, I think that play in particular had been a positive play just a week earlier. And so I think we were looking at it from that lens. But, I go back to that special teams prior to that. I think we just have to handle that better. I think the hidden yardage in this is not really good for the Baylor Bears. And so I think that of all of the three sides of the ball and all of it, that's the one area that we must have improvement.
Back to the speed of Oklahoma State. Second year in a row, you played Iowa State, an emotional win, different style. Oklahoma State the next week that creates different problems. How hard is that to adjust from week to week?
Well, I think it's a really good question, because I think for the coaches, probably not. For the players, probably so, because I think after the win, it's kind of like, we got this. Here we are. We made this. And it'd be so much easier if they told you that, right? If they just offered that to you so you could kind of talk it through and set it straight. And I think so much of with just the youth of all of it is really kind of attacking it. We have to get it at that level and really address what they're thinking and they're feeling, because you get to these Saturdays after games, it's too late, and I feel like probably the week prior we were able to do that, myself and some of the staff, and really kind of get to what we're thinking or what the team's really thinking. And I feel like I probably could have done a better job with that this week, because I think with some of the youth, everything is a thing. And I think, if we think that we're making a right turn, they may be thinking we're making a left. And even though all the words and everything are saying right. And so I just think it's very vital that we all get on the same page in terms of what it takes to win a Big 12 game.
Dave, you had 4 games to break your own secondary down, and then today, what are you seeing from your defensive backs right now that maybe you need to really work on in this bye week before you guys head to West Virginia?
No, appreciate that. I think there is a lot of improvement that can be had just with our corner play with vertical kind of go balls. And some of it is when we're bailing in a third, which is probably easier to do. Some of it is in man when we're in press, and there's someone winning or losing the line of scrimmage, so it's a little bit harder to do. And then some of it is when we're in cover two, and we're getting a reroute on one, and we have to exit angle and kind of take away kind of a hole shot between the corner and the safety. And so I think all of that is there. And I think some of the fight when you're trying to improve that is that one thing affects the other thing, and then it starts to it's almost like quicksand, you feel. Wherever you step, you're gonna get sunk in. And so that may be where we're at a little bit. And so I think our ability to, hey, dude, you've got all the tools, you've got all the ability, right? One thing doesn't affect the other thing, right? Let's just take the emotion out and focus on what we can do better. I think that's the message.
Coach in the back. Obviously, you mentioned special teams a little bit, but when you just look at the box score, you outgain them, time of possession's about the same. You actually have more yards per play than them, and you lose by double digits. Mm-hmm. On some of those key plays that probably impacted that, from an offense versus defensive perspective, what did they do right that you guys weren't able to replicate?
I think it's a really good question. I think there's a lot of confidence with them, and I would probably call that grounded confidence. I think we're not there yet, and I think some of that is hey, this ain't last year, And I think the other thing is, I think the sacrifices that it takes for guys throughout the week to continually kind of attack just the process and just the grind of it. I think from a bye week perspective, it's probably good timing for us because of the grind that we've been through. But I think, everything is training for something. And I think those attitudes that we bring into it really matter, because that's what you're training, If it's kind of, I'm in the thing and it's like, and it's all that, then that's what it becomes. That's what you're training. That's what you're repping. Whereas if I'm really attacking this or attacking that, and I think, that's a me problem right here. I can do a lot better with that, right? And I think I have to be probably more black and white with that in terms of expectations.
That was Dave Aranda in the post-game press conference. Wasn't as cheery as he was after the BYU game.
No, but he was happy to see us.
He was. He appreciated a lot of questions, too.
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah.
And
there's going to be we had a lot of time till the next game, Drake.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, we're going to pick apart some of these answers a little bit more.
We should. Not a lot. There were some doozies in there, by the way.
There was some disconcerting answers.
Where he kind of said he saw it coming, or he was like, "Yeah, I told you guys."
Yeah.
You shocked? You guys surprised by this? Anybody? Huh? All right,
it is less than assuring.
This team's just not. They're not Desmond Howard playoff. Half of ESPN Game Day picked them to go to the playoff, and they're obviously not going to do it now. They're not that caliber. The offensive line is not what it was last year. Somehow it's the same guys. It's the same guys. And every week that Shapen does something good, the secondary sucks. Every week the offensive line's really good, Shapen's not that good. It's just something every week. This team has not played a complete game.
Got to meet them there. We got to meet them there, Drake.
Iowa State, they played a decently complete game against Iowa. They really did. Where was that this week? All right, we'll talk about it more this week. We got a lot of week left and a lot of shows before the next game. I'm going to be playing hacky. We're going to talk basketball at some point, probably. This has been, always will be. That guy right there is Cameron Stewart. Give it up.
Way Cool Weekend Recap is out there. Check it out at Real Cam Stewart on Twitter.
Rockland, Massachusetts. Everybody, put your hands together for Cameron Stewart. You ever go to a concert and that's what they do?
Yes.
Great mojo, by the way. Great. Does it fit really well?
It does. I'm noticing there's a lot more stains than I thought, but
that's cool. Whatever. You can spend that on. We'll see you guys tomorrow. This has been Locked On Baylor.